All right, welcome to Working with Woody. Today we're going to be working on building the rear end. You can see it sitting over on jack stands over there. So I got a new carrier, ring gear, bearing set, seals, everything. But I also want to replace the axle bearings out on the ends. Maybe unnecessary, but if you're going to rebuild it, you might as well replace all the bits. Got a rental slide hammer from AutoZone. The problem is, you got a couple different sizes of these that slide through and then you can hammer on the bearing. This one's a little bit too big. It hits that. It's bigger than the actual bearing. And this one is a little too small and it just hammered on the rollers and busted the rollers out, and you'll see that now. Made me bleed. I did get one out. It's possible, but it was wasn't very fun. So I pressed the pinion bearing off of the pinion. I had to go to AutoZone to rent a large bearing separator and just put the bearing separator on there and then use the press to push the pinion down while the separator held the bearing. Worked pretty good. When it comes to fitting the pinion, the shims that move the pinion in and out are really important. So what I did, I bought a $5 bearing on Rock Auto on last order, and then I used the grinder to grind the bearing down where it'll slide onto the shaft. Well, like that, without being pressed on, and that way I can test fit, I can bolt it up, I can check it, and I can get it perfect without having to press the bearing on and off every time. Once I get it dialed in, I'll press the real bearing on and hopefully check it out. Hopefully it'll be correct. So that's what we've been working on. I guess we're going to put the carrier together now and then kind of go from there. All right, so I just seated the ring gear on the new carrier and it was too big to put in the press, so I put the ring gear in the toaster oven on 450 for 30 minutes and it slid right on there. I got 4 bolts in it, got it flush, and I'll just let it sit and cool off now. One thing I just realized is this new carrier, Eden True Track, uses different bearings than the old carrier. So I got a whole install kit and I went to go look at it and I said, these don't fit. And of course I looked it up and it says in like really big bold letters online, like uses special bearings. So then I was working on the yoke. I realized like the seals that come with it like did not fit on the yoke. But then there's some kind of seal inside of there that seals. There's an outer seal and an inner seal. I don't know. I didn't come across any of this in my research, so I got to go look that up. But if I just put this back in the housing, this won't go on there. Yeah, we'll figure all that out. In the meantime, I'm going to go order some bearings. All right, so I was working on these brake backing plates, getting them cleaned up, and they got some pretty major grooves worn in them where the shoes ride. And I looked and they're kind of hard to find. The ones I did find were pretty expensive. So what I think I can do is maybe just lay a really tiny bead of weld 023 wire down and then use the grinder, smooth it back out. I don't see how that could go all that wrong, but we'll give it a go because I don't want to put them back on the car like that with that huge groove, because this is supposed to be where they slide, and if they're stuck in the groove, then they don't slide very well. So I put the bearings in the toaster oven for 15 minutes. It wasn't quite long enough, so I ended up having to drive them on there. And this lip sticks up a little taller than the bearing, so you got to find something that pushes on the inner race and not on the cage. So that's what this did. I think I got it seated. Now we can torque down the ring gear. All right, per the manual, it says 90 foot-pounds on these for the 8.5 and 8 5/8 ring gear to differential case bolt. I think that's what that is, so we'll go with 90. I think that'll hold it. It's just going to be a pain. This is craft paint. Genius. Right? 0.238. This is L. 0.238. 0.240. Wow, those are close. I really don't know what I'm doing here. So these are the factory shims. Seem to be a little too big. I guess we'll just too much drag. All right, first test fit here. Set it in the side. Put our right shims in. Well, we might be in the ballpark. Caps on, check the backlash, check the pattern. Maybe we're pretty close. I mean, we're not. We're gonna have to do this like 6 times. But we'll go for it. We'll go with this. I guess that's on there correctly. Let me move this a little bit. It's supposed to be perpendicular to the tooth. I'm going to go double check the manual, make sure I'm doing this right. I don't guess it matters which side of the tooth, the coast side, drive side. So I'm going to go read the manual. Got to add 4,000th to each side to take up the preload on these bearings. Left, right. Take out 10. Take out 10. Oops, I did some bad math somewhere. Okay. All right, so now that's looks like after I ran this pattern on the drive side, it looks like our pinion depth is a little too deep. So we're contacting down at the root down here. And so maybe we want to move this pattern up the tooth just a tiny bit. So I'm going to take it apart. I want to move the pinion further away from the gear, which should bring it out here, right? Anyway, I'm going to change the pinion shim. And so I think what we'll try to do is we'll add a little bit. You know, maybe we'll go too far and then we'll work back, see what we got. So let's take it back apart. So I'm going to make this shim a little thinner as to move this a little bit further from the ring gear, therefore moving the pattern to the top, a little bit to the top of the tooth. So decrease this. All right, we went from 038 down to 030. We'll just see what that does. So. All right, this pattern looks pretty good. Maybe it's a little closer to the top of the tooth than the bottom, like the tiniest bit. It is definitely centered on the gear on the coast side. It's centered. It's kind of got like a, it's flat on the bottom, but it's definitely not bottomed out. Got a nice moon shape over the top. I don't know. That really looks pretty good. I mean, I've never done this before, but I have watched YouTube. But this backlash feels, we're gonna have to adjust that and then go from there. So the backlash is about 20 thou now. So, which means I need to move the carrier that way, a few thou. So we'll do that and then see. This pattern looks pretty good to me. It's centered top to bottom, centered toe to heel. The coast pattern looks pretty good too, similar situation. I think this is just what we're gonna roll with because I've adjusted everything twice, 3 times. So I think we've kind of bullseyed in on where we want to be with pinion depth and backlash and pattern. So I think we're just gonna roll with this. It'll get you. Safety first. All right, put a little RTV on these splines so it doesn't leak through the splines. I didn't see anything in manual about Loctite, but I'm gonna put a little blue on there. Just, I don't know. I don't think it needs red, but I'm sure some engineer specifies something. That's gotta be fine, right? It's doing a thing. And of course this thing, I don't know, this thing was balanced with that thing. I don't know whether to cut these weights off. I mean, I guess I will. The aftermarket ones don't even have this like dust shield. All right, I guess we'll put the carrier in and then go from there. That gives us about 7 thousandths backlash, which manual called for 5 to 9 thousandths. So that seems pretty dang good to me. I checked in a couple spots. Seems to be in that range, 6 to 7. Ooh, I'm sorry. Do a quick pattern check. All right, drive side. Still looks pretty good on depth and height. Coast side, it's a little towards the toe, but other than that, right in the middle. I feel pretty good about this. Not having done this before, kind of makes you nervous. You watch all the videos, but you know, it's nice when it comes together with some predictability. So just gonna clean this yellow gunk off a little bit. I gotta get the brake backing plates put on, and then I can throw the axles in. Yeah, I think that's right. So we'll put those on, make sure everything's right side up, and go from there. Oof, that is a stout snap ring. Maybe I have something for this. All right, I snug the bolts down. I'll let the stuff cure for a while. Come back, torque them. I think 20 foot-pounds on these. Oh, but other than that, this axle is rebuilt. Alrighty, I've got the rear axle mostly assembled here. Pretty much 100%, but the only last thing I was gonna do was go ahead and put the wheel cylinders on and get the brake line secured. And I painted the wheel cylinders red because they, decrease your stopping distance by 50% or something like that, I heard. But we're just gonna fit these on here and see if we can't get the center brake line hooked up so all that's good. And then we'll wait till we put it back in the vehicle to put the rest of the brakes and the drums on. But we're getting close on this. All right, so that wraps up this video. Got the rear end put back together, about ready to go back in the truck. I've been working ahead, so I got a few videos coming. So appreciate you watching, like and subscribe.